Good evening and welcome to Music Today. This is Keitaro Harada. The concept of the show is to bring in an artist each episode and have a conversation with the artist about a performance we'll all watch and listen together. The live component is very important because I highly encourage all viewers to comment and ask questions. Even if you're shy, even a little hello is also fine. The idea of doing this show came about when COVID-19 hit, and I wanted a platform where we can keep the music going for our fans. Even though we may not be able to experience live performances together right now, I wanted a place where music lovers can join easily, to converse with the artists, and to see a more personal side of us. Music Today is a bilingual show. The live streams during your evening will be in English, and the shows that broadcast during your morning time is usually in Japanese. If you want to improve on your Japanese skills, you're more than welcome to watch the Japanese interviews too. You can click on the subtitle button somewhere around here to listen in Japanese and read it in English. Tonight is show number 80. Yay. Started this in May and it's been going on almost every day. And I'm very thankful for all the guests that have joined me and for the guests that are continuing to join us in the future. Without further ado, I'd like to bring in our guest for tonight. Since we cannot hear you applaud, please do me a huge favor and comment using the comment screen. And you can do clapping emojis, or you can write clap, 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 and just tell us that you're here and enjoying the show. Please welcome oboist and pianist and just, what else? So Instagram social media influencer of all kind, Claire Brazeau.
Hi. Hi, Keitaro. How are you?
Very well. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's good to be here.
Excellent. Thanks for joining me. And where are you quarantined right now?
I'm in Los Angeles, California.
Excellent. How are situations in LA?
Not good. Not good. But we're hunkered down, isolating, being careful.
Gotcha. What is the situation with the chamber orchestra?
So the Los Angeles Chamber Orchestra is going forward with some chamber music programming. At this point, it's all being recorded to be dispersed online.
I see.
Yeah, so we're having that through the summer and then also in the fall. And after that, we'll see. Everybody's kind of waiting to see what happens.
Gotcha. Well, we'll talk more about LA Chamber Orchestra in a moment, but I wanted to share to our fans that the way we know each other, we've been friends for over 12 years. No, wait, 18 years now. Oh, crazy. We were in high school together at Interlochen, and we played in ensembles together, and I just remember that you used to sit right in front of me because for a wind ensemble, and then we also had, I can't remember, there were some classes that we took together, but I'm trying to remember whether it was math class or it was poetry class or something, but there was something that we were definitely, in addition to the music theory and history classes. But anyways, Claire has been awesome, and I remember strongly of you as a pianist who played oboe more than an oboist who played piano.
Right. I came in as a piano major, and I did 3 years at the academy, and halfway through I switched more towards oboe. So yeah, I had dreams of becoming a pianist and I decided to give oboe a go, and it worked out.
Awesome. Well, I want to get straight to the music. Today we're listening to Marc Mellits' Parking Violation for Amplified Oboe with Reverb. What is this piece?
This is one movement out of a multi-movement piece for solo oboe, and it calls for added reverb. So you have to put the sound through software that adds reverberance to it. And since lockdown happened, right, I'm only hearing myself in small spaces, right, in my home. I'm not on a concert stage that has beautiful natural acoustics. So I was extra interested in recording this piece because it actually calls to add that warmth that add that reverb. And I think the oboe sounds so great with added reverb. So, and it's a lovely piece. It's based on his experience in New York City. I think when he first got to New York City and the hustle and bustle of, I think this is one intersection in particular. So in the video that I made, I projected a time lapse of Times Square. I thought it was appropriate.
All right, let's take a quick listen. That's so cool.
Thanks.
Tell me the process of how you made that.
So the video part of it, I found it was copyright free video footage from YouTube that I was able to find of someone doing the time lapse of Times Square.
Okay.
And in my home, we use a projector to watch TV.
Oh, that's
movies.
what's happening.
So it's from our projector, yeah.
Got it. Okay, so I was just
it
figuring
wasn't
out
actually, it's not a filter or anything. It was.
It's your home with what you do usually. You're just standing in front of your TV per se on your projector.
Yeah.
Oh, got it. I was just trying to figure out if you had like, you know, just done your performance and overlaid it on top of it, but it was done so like the shadows and like the contour was like perfect. So I was like, how did you do that?
Cool.
Okay,
yeah.
This makes sense.
I've been trying to get more creative with video.
Yeah, well, you totally gave the illusion. It was awesome. And does Marc Mellits write a lot for oboe?
He writes a lot of woodwind music. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, fantastic. Thanks for sharing that. And then, so let's talk a little bit about you and how you were introduced to music and what was your turning point in choosing music as a career.
Okay, my life story.
Yes.
My musical life story began, I think I was 7 years old, and I saw Ray Charles, the jazz pianist. He was playing the Pepsi commercials.
Okay.
I don't know if you were.
Yeah, no, I was.
And then my favorite television show, Sesame Street. He was a guest on Sesame Street, and I was I thought he was the coolest cat. I was like, I want to do that, and I begged and begged to get a piano. And the next year, I got I was probably a little brat. I thought I was gonna get like a big Ray Charles piano, like glossy, large piano, and my mom got me this like little keyboard. I was like, "Where's the big one?" But thanks, Santa, you know. And she said, "Well, if you are, here we go. Yes."
When it's right, you know when you feel it. You hold it.
This is what you want it to be. Ray Charles and not the girls that are dancing.
No, I mean, I was impressed by them too. They're fabulous. But I just, I loved it. I definitely wanted to be a jazz pianist first. So then, I took to that little keyboard, and then she said, if you're serious about it, then we'll get you a real piano. So then the next year I got an upright piano and started piano lessons.
Nice.
So I had great piano teachers, and I didn't love practicing all by myself all the time. So I was excited to join band when the time came around for junior high, when we could choose an elective. And they sent us home saying, what are your top 3 instruments that you're interested in? And my top choice was saxophone. Then my second choice was percussion. And then the third choice was oboe.
Okay.
And
then at that point, did you still want it to be like the jazz musician that Ray Charles inspired you to be?
I think that's why I had a taste for saxophone.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And my parents convinced me to try oboe. If I didn't like oboe, then I could switch. But
okay.
Yeah, I was interested in the oboe. It was like this new world, this new challenge, and very interesting sounds. I was very curious. I wasn't like immediately in love with it or anything. It's just this new.
Well, it's one of those instruments that's just so difficult for young students to start, because you really need a teacher like from the start with the oboe, or else it's like clueless about what to do about the reeds and how to even make a sound, really.
And I was really lucky. One of my first band directors, Lynn Hansen, she is a principal oboist of the Traverse City Symphony.
Oh, really?
She's also my band director. So she was very helpful in guiding me and making sure my instrument was working. And
well, definitely, that influence is strong. To have that from the beginning is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Did you explore playing other instruments while you were in band, or did you just stick with the oboe and not play saxophone? Or
I didn't really. I stuck with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And
how does the going to the interlocking come to play?
I first went to the camp and loved it, and decided I wanted to audition for the academy. So like I said, I first was accepted as a piano major, and halfway through decided to get more serious about the oboe. I realized I really loved focusing on that one melody line. Right? There's something that really, I loved that slow, deliberate, working on phrasing, and I loved playing in ensembles together too. Like, so that was part of the reason why I switched. And I worked my butt off, and in my last year there, I think I made the most progress I'd ever made on anything. Like, I really took to it and wanted to get into a good school for oboe. So
yeah, it was interesting because like I graduated a year before you, and so like my image of you was still so strong as a pianist that enjoyed playing oboe, but then all of a sudden there you are, like, principal oboe of the LA Chamber Orchestra. It's like, where did that switch come around?
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that it was during high school that you made that switch. Tell us a little bit about Dan Stoper, your experience with him.
I miss him. He was so kind and encouraging and gentle. And I think what was really great for me is how he treated me. He treated me like an adult. He was always so respectful, and he always encouraged me to have my own assignments. Like, he really encouraged me to be self-motivated. Not that he wasn't motivating, but yeah, it was like if I wanted to work on a concerto, I could, and as long as I was working hard. And he, it was great. My time there had a lot of great oboists. We have Liz Cook, who's now principal of the Atlanta Symphony, and Mary Lynch, principal of the Seattle Symphony. They were in my same studio.
And a lot of great freelancers and professors too. Emily D'Angelo. Michelle Farah.
Yeah, in New York, right?
New York. When you think about Dan Stoper, like when you look at all of the major orchestras or people who are playing professional oboe, there's always a Dan Stoper in their bio because he's influenced so many people. Yeah. Most definitely. So tell us a little bit about your journey through Michigan girl, all of a sudden now living in LA. Tell us your path.
Yeah, I had a pit stop in New York too. So after Interlochen, I went to the Bard College and Conservatory. I was in the inaugural class of this conservatory program where every student in the conservatory is required to do 2 degrees, and they gave us 5 years to do it. So I got a bachelor's of music in oboe performance, but also a bachelor of arts in the college. And I took my time figuring out what I wanted to major in because I was just so interested in so many different things. I went from econ to did philosophy for a semester. That didn't work out. But
was that required for all students to do double?
In the conservatory.
Really? Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful.
I think now they have other options where you can only be in the conservatory as like an artist diploma student, but it's still going. It's grown a lot. It's really on the map now. Where before it was just this. They actually came to Interlochen and recruited, and we met. I remember meeting the dean, telling me about this program. Like, I can get an education and an oboe major. Wow.
Awesome.
Because at that point, I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do. I wasn't totally 100% on board with becoming a musician. I loved it. I knew I really loved it, but the idea of getting a liberal arts education was really attractive, and having great access to great music faculty too, who were supportive of the dual degree. So I got a bachelor's in East Asian Studies. I studied Mandarin for a couple years, went to China a couple times. It was my first time abroad through the language immersion program. Yeah. I think I wanted to experience culture shock. I wanted to get as far away from northern Michigan as I could.
Most definitely a culture shock for sure.
I loved it. I loved it so much.
That's awesome. Okay. Yeah. And then what happened after Bard?
Then I auditioned for graduate school and got into the Colburn School in Los Angeles. And it's a small music conservatory, but it's fully funded. You get full ride. You live in the dorm there. It's this one building downtown, and it's 100 some students, all orchestral or piano majors. So I went from this broad education to very focused. Everybody was doing the same thing. Half of the school is master's level, and also taking orchestral auditions. It's just the level is really high, really competitive, and I ate it up. I really did enjoy finally getting to completely focus on the oboe. And I had a really great relationship with my teacher there, Alan Vogel, who was the principal oboist of the Los Angeles Chamber Orchestra. And they would rehearse. They do rehearse at the Colburn School sometimes, and he would invite me to their dress rehearsals. He invited me to the concerts. I always took him up. So I was awestruck by this orchestra. I thought I had never heard an orchestra play a classical, Haydn symphony. I'd be so blown away, right? So I got quite an education listening to them. I think I kind of got their style in my ear. So in my last year there, the second oboe position in the LA Chamber Orchestra opened up, and he said, "I think you should audition for this." So I did.
And you got it.
And I got it.
And you were still a student, right? That's a good feeling to win a job while still in school. Yeah. And then, so tell me how the principal position came about.
So it was only 2-ish seasons in, and he announced his retirement.
Mm-hmm.
And those 2 seasons were so cool, getting to have, you know, the student-teacher relationship still going, still learning
Mm-hmm.
from as his second oboist. That was really awesome. So yeah, so that position opened up, and it was great to take the audition with the attitude of, I really want this, but also if I lose, I still have a job with this great orchestra.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, there's a little bit of a comfort zone, you know. Yeah.
yeah.
And then, how many years have you been with the orchestra now?
6.
Oh, nice.
5-ish, 6, depending. Yeah.
somewhere around that range.
Yeah.
Well, tell
There
me,
we are.
tell us a little bit about what the LA Chamber Orchestra means to you.
Oh, I miss it. I miss it so much. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's 40 members, so it's a large family, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody really loves being there, and I think it's really great. The administration is really trying their best to take care of us in this time, you know, trying to make sure the work that is going out is equitable, and there's a lot of communication. So yeah, it's been a dream. It really has been a
Mm-hmm.
dream job. I feel like they gave me such an opportunity, coming from being a second oboist and then giving me the chance to step up to play principal,
Mm-hmm.
and grow into that position. And I'm still growing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very inspiring to work with such great colleagues.
And then you went through the transition of the new music director, correct? Because
I did.
you came in when Jeff was still there.
Yes, yeah, he hired me, and now we have Jaime Martin. He's a Spanish conductor and a flutist, fantastic, first-class flutist.
Really?
And
Okay.
so it's great. I feel like, you know, the first week with him, all of us wind players in the back of the orchestra were all kind of sitting up a little straighter and you know, just really eager to work with him, because he, you know, as a woodwind player on the podium, he's giving us attention and a lot of great collaboration.
I noticed that at LA Chamber, you guys are doing some like summer fest online things. Can you share us a little bit about, you know, some of the activities that are coming up?
Yeah, it's chamber music through the summer, and they're giving. It's similar to our Baroque series that we've had, where most of the concerts are given. You have a curator it's a member of the orchestra who's allowed to, who's given the position of curator, presenter, and leader of the program, which I think is wonderful. It really shows off that, you know, we're all soloists, we're all artistic, we all have artistic ideas, you know, we get the chance to do that.
Wonderful.
So we're continuing that, yeah.
And how is it living in LA? You're a Michigan girl surrounded by, you know, grew up with a lot of snow, especially up in Traverse City.
I don't miss it. I do not miss the cold. I adapted to the LA climate very easily. And I love to be outdoors. I'm into hiking and camping. So 5 minutes away from my place, I can be on a hike. That's great.
Got
I really
it.
do love it.
Tell us a little bit about if you have any performance that you will never forget. Like, you've done a lot of concerts in these past years. This one sort of was like my highlight concert.
I think the most unforgettable concert I've done was because the audience was they were the most enthusiastic audience I've ever had. It was in a high maximum security prison in upstate New York.
Really?
The Bard Conservatory. Well, the Bard College it's called the Bard Prison Initiative, and students and faculty are going into the prison and offering classes. The inmate, they can work towards getting a degree. And we started the conservatory, and I actually think it was a student's idea. Say, let's go play for them. And Leanna Botstein was so on board. Yeah. So I've never been inside a prison, and I remember hearing that there's some ball game that was being presented that night that we're thinking, oh God, nobody's gonna come to our orchestra concert. There was like a big sports event happening that we thought they would be more interested in, us being prejudiced outsiders. And we go in, and the auditorium was packed, totally packed. I played the English horn solo in the Dvorak New World Symphony, and it was so eye-opening to me to see how it was just such an enthusiastic audience. After each movement, they were up, standing ovation. And we got so many thank you letters at the end. And there's a great Q&A afterwards. And so many questions like, when I get out of here, I want to take my daughter to this. How do I? Hi, Utah.
Speaking of Michigan,
classmate of ours. Aw. So that was definitely very
that is
memorable.
really powerful. What a great initiative to bring music to the prison. I've never heard that before. And that's fantastic.
Yeah, I hope they're still. I bet they're still doing it. I hope they are. I hope more programs could do that.
Well, yeah, totally, for sure.
Breaking down barriers.
Yep. Tell us a little bit about your instrument. How do you? Because I'm assuming you're not using the instrument that you were using in high school, or is it still? So what instruments are you? What instrument are you using now?
So it's made in France.
Okay.
And I named him Pierre, French.
Okay.
Name. It seems very appropriate.
Yes, for sure.
The brand is Marigot. I love it. It's great. I took a long time to shop to get that brand.
Well, and then there's so many wonderful oboe makers around the world. I used to visit the Joseph oboes, I think it's that. Yeah, but they're manufactured in Tokyo, even though it's not a Japanese company. Yeah. And so it was next to the repair shop where I got my instruments fixed. So I used to see just the beautiful, the design and the amount of care that is put into creating oboe, because it's such a unique shape. The curvatures are very, very, to make the wood curve in that certain way is very difficult. So how many oboes do you think you've tried and gone through and auditioned to reach the one that you're performing now?
I don't know. It took years. I don't know. That's a good question. There's a lot.
Just many dates with many different boys. Then, since your oboe's a boy, I'm assuming they're
blind too.
Right.
I would figure out ways with another oboist colleague where we would blind, either they hand you one, so you don't know which one you're playing on, right? And then switch it around and you're in the back, so you don't know which ones you're listening to or playing.
Oh, interesting.
So to get rid of any bias, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I love
Gotcha.
doing that. The thing that I really love about my oboes are that it's the Pierre is the top half of the instrument is made out of composite material, so it is not going to change or warp or crack. A lot of wood oboes have problems cracking from extreme temperature changes or even just over time. A lot of adjustments. So, and I was really, that's why I made sure to do all the blind tests, because of course you go in there with the assumption that a plastic instrument is not going to be as good, right? Because we have this bias that student oboes, right? A lot of student oboes are plastic, not very high quality. They're student level, right? But this brand blew me away. They've got to
figure it out.
They really, I really think they do. Yeah, they've won me over for sure. And I think they sound just as good, if not better. And it's not gonna change. I can keep it forever.
That's awesome. Is your English horn from that same company?
My English horn is not from that same company. I've not upgraded my English horn. I've had the same English horn for a while now. But it's a good horn. I like it.
If your oboe is a boy, is the English horn also a boy? Does he have a name?
He doesn't.
You were very quick with the Pierre and the oboe. Like I feel like your English horn's like the neglected child.
It is.
Well, speaking of your English horn, I do want to share your English horn playing because you are an amazing English horn player.
Oh, thank you.
So let's take a listen to this excerpt. But tell us a little bit of what's happening here.
So this is a studio session. This was one of my first studio sessions, where it was the end of 6 hours of recording.
Oy.
And at that point, I'd mostly been playing second oboe. And the very last cue to record was this solo. I was like, oh God. If you go into a session, almost always you have not seen the music before. You have to be a good sight reader. You have to work well under pressure. And surprises like this come up all the time. It's like all of a sudden you're in the spotlight. It was a beautiful melody. I think it was for a children's show. Yeah. And I was really cold, so I was wearing a hat, and I was not aware I was being videotaped.
What's a Michigan girl complaining about cold in LA?
I tell you, I do not do cold well. Just never have. But yeah, that's what the sessions look like.
Yeah, and a lot of, I'm assuming that your piano playing totally kicked in because of your ability to sight read anything comfortably.
I bet. Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah. It's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I have a question from Dave Lake, who's a radio host in Savannah, who's saying, what is your favorite either solo oboe work or oboe concerto?
Lately, my favorite oboe concerto has been the Martinu.
Oh, Martinu is so great. Yeah.
I really enjoy playing that. I got several chances to play it last season. So I really embraced that.
Is that the concerto that you took to Bulgaria?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
The reason why I mentioned Bulgaria is because we were just a few weeks apart in that same concert hall.
Wow.
Because I was spending a month and a half with the opera company, the National Opera Theater in Bulgaria, and I took them on a Japan tour right afterwards. But I just kept seeing your poster at the concert halls.
That's wild.
And I'm like, oh, Claire's going to be here, but I'm not going to be there when you're performing. And I remember seeing your beautiful photo in the gigantic, beautiful, big poster at the concert hall.
That was a really great experience. Great orchestra. Really great orchestra.
Yes, they're
beautiful hall. Yeah.
Very beautiful. And just like great culture there too. The location of the concert hall and all of the walking distance and the food and a lot of young vibe there with partying. And yeah, it's really fun. So a favorite solo oboe work? Maybe that's not a concerto? Could be with piano, could be unaccompanied.
The one I've lived the most with, that I feel like identify a lot with, is the Poulenc oboe sonata. It's pretty standard for us.
Yeah.
It's beautiful piano writing too.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
So during this COVID-19, there, a lot of musicians had the opportunity to do two things. One is to just really do nothing and then stay put, or people like you and me, we're not very comfortable staying. We have to be doing something. Hence why I have this show among other things, online projects. But you are doing something really amazing called the virtual oboe competition. I'd love for you to share us about that.
Thanks. Yeah. So when the pandemic hit, it was just cancellation after cancellation, and really hard for us to take. And I saw that one of our major oboe competitions, international oboe competitions, that's historic for us, was canceled. And I thought, it doesn't have to be canceled. Why don't we go online? And at first I was thinking about just being something I would host on Instagram, but I pitched the idea to a friend who said, no, this is a really good idea. You need to see what you can do with this. And then I thought, okay, who are the most famous oboists I know that I could ask to be on the jury? And I went one by one, summoned up my courage and said, hey, could you do this with me? And they all said yes. There they are, star players. Francois Leleu, one of the biggest soloists in Europe. Alain Duvall, the principal oboist of the Metropolitan Opera. Eugene Isotov, principal oboist of the San Francisco Orchestra. And Ramon Ortega, he's another big soloist in Europe.
Yeah, the jury members are amazing. It's totally star class oboe players of the world. Like when I saw the jury list, I was like, how did Claire get that? it's awesome.
I don't know.
It's great.
Everybody was really excited about the idea. I think the timing was right because everything was getting canceled, and I was like, let's do something.
Of course.
Something to, give young oboists something to work towards, something. So we have two different age categories. One is younger, 22 and younger. The other one is older, up to age 34. Yeah. I was able to fundraise. We have sponsors from the major oboe brands and some major distributors of oboes who generously gave us cash prizes. So yeah, the tapes were they had over 2 months. Yeah, it was 3 months. They had 3 months to prepare. And I've had help with this. My partner, Adrienne Andeshay, she has been great help with this. She made this beautiful website. Anyway, we wanted to make sure it was accessible, right? Because of COVID, because of financial struggles right now. So the first idea is that all of the repertoire is for solo oboe. Traditionally a competition is with piano. And so we got rid of that. So you don't have to pay for a pianist. You don't have to worry about getting a pianist or sick from being in touch with a pianist. And we also partnered with the Los Angeles Chamber Orchestra, who also gave us some money to cover some of the entry fees for students who applied for financial assistance and help with purchasing the music. I also made sure that the music could be downloadable from the internet, all PDF form, so we didn't have to worry about that.
And
I spent a lot of time.
Yeah, how is the competition run though?
All online, so they have submitted video recordings for us to judge.
Okay.
And we have yet to tally up everything, but we've gotten over 100 applicants in the younger division and over 70 in the older division, from over 20 countries, 20 some countries. So I'm blown away. I am very moved that this many oboists took to this, and we have this community online. We have an Instagram. We have this kind of social community. I'm hoping to focus on the unity of this, right? That we all came together. They all poured their hearts into this challenging repertoire when the world was burning.
Yes.
I'm very, very excited, and really looking forward to going through those applications.
And what's the sort of the timeline of the competition?
So first week of August, we will announce the top 6 winners for the younger division, and then the week after, we will announce the top 6 finalists for the older division. And by the end, so each day we will feature one of the finalists.
Okay, so we get to actually see some of their videos, performances.
Yes, we want to have an event where we stream together the finalists' videos, so we can have everybody feel involved with that. And then we determine the top 2 prize winners per category.
I see, from the 6. Gotcha. That's cool. And then, that's really interesting. Do the audience get to participate in like voting or commenting?
Yes. Short answer is yes. We are working out the platform, and I'm actually really interested to see how this. I'm glad to do this YouTube streaming, because we might do something similar. This is a great format, a great platform to do this. But yeah, I'm hoping to have some kind of audience participation.
Yeah, offline I'll share you a little bit about there's a tallying program where people can comment and it tallies up the votes automatically. So I'll let you, it may come useful, it may not, but it's something that I'll share you later on. Great.
I'm learning a lot through this. This is a completely,
I think we all are.
I never would have imagined me taking on this kind of position, but it's been thrilling, and I'm really, it's been the silver lining to having this time off.
Yeah. Well, and then I think
explore these other creative outlets.
That's exactly right, because I think it gives us now, we are all responsible to become creative as much as we can. Because the traditional way of doing things, producing music and doing concert, it's a little bit sort of out of the norm right now. So it just kind of allows us to have the opportunity to do something differently. With my guests on music today, I always touch upon current affair. And one of the things that I want to first talk about is about Black Lives Matter and how it influences your musical activities.
Absolutely. It means a great deal to me. Systemic racism in our country is such a deep wound that we are not allowing to heal, and we need to. There's injustice happening that's so in the forefront now, and it's terrible. It's painful for everybody. There's so much suffering going on. So I've been doing a lot of reflecting on what this means for our field and what it means to me personally. And, you know, it's easy to feel overwhelmed and feel insignificant, that you know, what are we going to do? We are in a field that is rooted in white European supremacy. What can I do as an oboist? And I feel like my greatest area to have impact is, and I am learning. I'm learning a lot. I'm listening a lot, and I don't have answers to this complicated, terrible issue we have. But I do feel that I have the strongest influence within education. I feel a great responsibility and honor to be working with the next generation of oboists and providing them with the tools and everything that I can to make them successful. I teach at the California State University in Long Beach. I have a studio there, and I'm also very proud and honored to be teaching with the Youth Orchestra of Los Angeles, the El Sistema inspired program. And for those who might not know what that is, it's a program that provides free instruments training to young students. And the Youth Orchestra of Los Angeles has about 1,300 students now. So that's to say, the majority of my students are people of color, and I take that as a great opportunity for me to help with progress with this.
No, it's definitely, and especially in LA, you have a lot of opportunities to share your knowledge to a wide range of community in LA. So it's wonderful that we're, and then I think one of the things that I feel personally is like we have the ability to make a difference and make a change, and then we are responsible for that change. So we must amplify what's going on and be able to champion and our accept to change, and then our courage to change, courage to make the changes to have a better life and better opportunities for everyone.
And it's necessary for our field.
It is. It's totally necessary
for our field. It really is. I mean, in Los Angeles, we need to have the orchestras reflecting the diversity that we have in our city.
Yes.
You know, we have a lot of work to do.
Yeah. There was an interesting article today, which I have only just read the headline and I haven't read the article yet, about unblinding the audition. And I don't know, since I haven't read the article, I don't have an opinion to it, but just looking at the
New York Times article.
Yeah.
I read that. I have mixed feelings about that because I feel like blind auditions have done so much.
Right. There was
for us.
There was great things that came out of it, and then to unwind that. But anyways, the arts culture is definitely talking, and we have a lot of things that we need to fix, for sure. We look at our audience, it's telling. We look at people who play on stage, it's telling. So, and the repertoire that we play, it's telling. The other current affair that I always touch upon is COVID-19, which we've already mentioned about the virtual oboe competition, which is a great outcome of the current situation that we are in. But performing music has become such a routine activity for us for so many years. I don't think we've had to really think about having an audience. There was always an audience. I think we took it for granted that there's always an audience for our performances. Of course, there's a lot of effort that administrations do and us personally do to make sure that people come to the concerts. But all of a sudden, because of this world crisis, performing in public has become extremely difficult. How has your attitude towards music and performing for an audience changed over the last few months?
Well, I certainly miss it. I
Mhm.
do, we're doing all of these things to keep going with creating content, creating concert experiences online.
Yeah.
And even with our best efforts, it doesn't come close to the experience of a live audience, a live
Mhm.
concert, live music, real people in the audience.
Right.
It really drives home that for me, how
Mhm.
important that human connection is. And I can't wait to get back to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the new normal is this life online, but
Yeah.
it's just very different. But we are still providing music though.
We are. We always will.
Mhm.
Yeah. We can't stop.
Right. Whatever shape or form, we are still making sure that we're keeping the music going, which is probably at most important. And then eventually, as people understand to wear masks and be safe, then we can bring people back into the concert halls.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm talking to you from Japan today, where we are at 50% capacity in the concert hall and doing concerts and orchestras are on stage. So it's totally possible now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just with precautionary measures for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I had my first live studio session the last
Tell
couple
us
days.
about that. Yeah.
They are splitting up the orchestra. So we're in a space that is large enough to typically hold a full orchestra, but it was only woodwinds. So there was only 8 or 9 of us in that space. And we had temperature checks and we walked in at the door, and masks are required. And because we're woodwind players, you have to deal with putting the mask back on after you're done playing, right?
Yeah.
So that was an adjustment. I think I definitely missed an entrance because so we have headphones, right, to hear the click track. That's how we stay together in the sessions. Yeah. And I got my mask caught on my headphones. I couldn't play at time, but that's why you get multiple takes, fortunately. But
I wonder I think maybe this defeats the whole purpose of a mask, but I haven't seen anyone create a woodwind friendly mask where you could still wear a mask, but maybe have a way to play your instrument.
Because your air is still coming out of the instrument.
But what if the mask was
really
like a little bit more of a shield so that it...
that would probably help. Yeah. But we were spaced. We were very spaced out, at least 12 feet apart, and we had large dividers in between us. It made the acoustic experience very interesting, but that's what click track is for.
Exactly. You just stay close
but
to your click track.
I was also it was so great to see my colleagues there.
Of course.
It's really nice to be back at that.
Yeah. I want to make sure I share to our viewers where they can find Claire, where Claire is a big influencer on social media when it comes to all things oboe, and I want to share at least one video to everyone. Let's start with this. These are the little things that Claire does on social media.
Papoy. Eh? Papoy? Akala na papoy. No. Papoy. Ah! Papoy.
And that would be
That's making fun of the conversation that I have way too many times where people are like, oh, oboe. And they don't know what, and it's okay. A lot of people don't know what an oboe is, but then they think it's a flute or a bassoon there's a lot of confusion.
Really?
About what I do. Yeah.
When you say you play the oboe, people don't get what it is?
I'd say a lot of Americans don't know what an oboe is.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then you say, well, it looks like a clarinet. And they're like, okay.
Right. And of course, when you talk about double reed, there's no way. Like, double reed doesn't make anything to them.
No.
But we have a lot of video, which is great on your Instagram. Yeah. It's always fun. So please do follow.
It's been a really fun fun outlet for me. It feels like it's another performance platform, right?
It
It's
really
another way
is.
to connect with a lot of young oboists.
Mhm.
Are following it, and I've connected with so many oboists from all over the world. It's been really fun. It's been kind of a community around it. I feel like I want it to be accessible. You know, I want to say this is what it's like to be a professional oboist in Los Angeles. And
Yeah, totally. Well, fantastic. And then lastly, I want to make sure that people know how to find you on your website. Very, very easily at clairebrazeau.com. So please check out Claire's website, and there's recordings, there's an about page, there's a listen page, so you can check out some of her recordings on her YouTube. But
yeah, one of my more recent videos up there, I think, is the part of the Martinu concerto performance with the Bulgaria, the Sofia.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Great. If this listen page
If it
will
loads.
load up.
That's okay.
Probably very slow because, you know, I'm doing a live stream right now. Well, anyways, go and please check out the listen page. It's there. I've already seen it. I know it's there. Excellent. Well, thank you, Claire, for sharing your story, your journey, and the things that you're doing. You know, especially the virtual oboe competition. You know,
thank you.
Please stay tuned to see. Does it have its own social media, or does it?
It does.
It does.
Yep.
Okay. Great. So people, please do subscribe to it and like it and follow so that you can find out who the winners are going to be. How exciting!
It's so exciting.
Soon to, and especially to get awarded by these top oboe players from around the world. What a great line for their resume and motivation and something uplifting during this pandemic. For
I
sure.
hope so.
Yes. Great. Well, thank you, Claire, for your time, and thank you those who were watching. Thank you, and please make sure you share and like this video. Thanks, Claire.
Thank you so much.
All right,
Take
have
care.
a good evening. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching. Please remember to subscribe, like, and share this video. ありがとうございました。チャンネル登録、いいね、そしてこのビデオをぜひシェアしてください。